You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College League Podcast. I'm Dylan, your boy on Twitter. Here to talk about the latest in Auburn athletics news. As I am extremely red, is what I'm looking at. My lighting is very weird this evening. I don't even know how to really fix that. That's okay. That's something that's going to happen this episode. All right, so just to get kicked off right away, some Auburn football news, something we've not been able to talk about in quite some time. DJ Durkin, Auburn plans on keeping him around a little bit longer as he gets a nice little contract extension as well as a raise, which gives his base salary to $2.5 million for his upcoming season, making him the second highest paid coordinator in college football, right behind Jim Knowles of Penn State. Something that I think Brian Schultz discussed this is Ohio State apparently was thinking about trying to get Durkin from Auburn, but Auburn wasn't going to allow that to happen. Durkin, again, had himself a great first year with the Tigers and turned this defense around pretty quickly and turned into one of the best units in the SEC going into next year as well. A unit that I expect to be top 5 in the SEC. What does it mean for Auburn? I mean, it just means you got a coordinator that you're really wanting to keep around. Auburn has had its fair share of offensive coordinators come through, but defensive coordinators have kind of been a trend for Auburn over the past few years now, where they've kind of gave them a year or so. I know that Gus Malzahn kept a few of his guys around for a while. Of course, Kevin Steele comes to mind right away. But I mean, Hugh Freeze found a guy who can take over his defense while Hugh Freeze figures out his offense. But yeah, huge shout out to DJ Durkin. Definitely something Auburn needed to make a move on quick because I think Durkin outperformed what everyone thought the defense would look like in 2024 and quickly turned that into I don't think what's the word I'm looking for here. So Durkin was a head coach before, but things that go well at Maryland. And the way he turned Auburn's defense around, I mean, you're opening yourself up to plenty of head coaching positions just for what you did with Auburn's defense. And if Auburn's able to keep Ohio State at bay, that's some good news for Auburn as well. But yeah, huge shout out here. Let's see. I don't think there's any other big news around this this payday for DJ Durkin, but I expect big things from this defense next year. You saw how last year went. You had a lot of young guys that made some impacts early and often, and now you got a whole slew of new guys to come in. Guys like Jared Smith, guys like Malik Autry, just all across the board. And you're bringing back guys like Caleb Harris, who was an outstanding freshman last year. Jay Crawford was a great freshman. DeMarcus Riddick was a great freshman. So on and so forth. So this defense, again, is going to be a coherent unit going into next year. And at least that's the belief system here. I'll knock on wood for that. But a $1.3 million increase, definitely going to keep your guy around. And it was a really great move for Hugh Freeze and company to make sure that DJ Durkin was not going anywhere before the season started. And that I'm trying to figure. I don't know exactly when spring practice opens up. I'm trying to figure that out. I don't think I had the exact dates, but soon it is very soon. I do think it's around. It's sometime. I think it starts in February. It's like the end of February. So the end of this month. But regardless, great extension, great way to put that. That's what Auburn should be doing with their money, keeping DJ Durkin around, and they did that. And great news for Auburn football. And last little Auburn football news before we get into basketball. KLS, Kendall Liberty Smith, got himself his combine invitation. Something we expected to happen anyways. I expect to hear a couple more Auburn Tigers get their names called for the NFL combine. But so far, all we got so far is Jarquez Hunter, Jalen McLeod, and now KLS. So huge shout out to those 3 guys getting opportunities to continue their career into the NFL. Now, Auburn men's basketball is about to come back onto our screens tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. CST as they travel to Nashville to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Auburn's fresh off of a loss at home to Florida, and Vanderbilt, at home at least, only has one loss number 14 in Mississippi State last month. What has Vanderbilt been doing all year if you've not been listening? So just a few weeks ago, this team took on number 6 Tennessee and beat them 76-75 at home. What they do like a week later, they welcome number 9 Kentucky and beat them at home. Vanderbilt has the same kind of complex their football team has on the basketball court, and they're the David to everybody's Goliath. Auburn cannot be swept into that. Things they were able to do versus Tennessee and Kentucky, they were able to force turnovers, able to keep the teams that, by all regards, are better teams at bay. You look at turnovers, they forced 11 turnovers out of Tennessee and out of Kentucky. If you go into looking at the box score for them, you forced 17 turnovers. In that game, Vanderbilt only had 5 turnovers. So able to keep Kentucky at bay in that offense that works so well for Kentucky. But other than that, this is as a unit, Auburn has the advantage here. Height-wise, skill-wise, they have the advantage. And this is a trap game in all regards. This is a trap game that Auburn needs to keep himself at bay about. Vanderbilt is going to try to make you mess up. They're going to try to make you give the ball back to them. It's a team that's averaging 9.5 steals per game. And, you're going to out-rebound this team. That's the key here with Dylan Cardwell and Johni Broome and Chad Baker-Mazar. You have to make up for missed shots that you got against Florida. You got to be able to get those second chance buckets that you were not able to get versus Florida either. This is a scary game for many reasons. You're coming off of a loss to Florida, and in just a few days, you got to take on Alabama in the first ever number 1 versus number 2 matchup in the SEC, and it's going to go down in the Iron Bowl of basketball and the airplane hangar that is across the other side of the state. But yeah, I look up and down this, and after the Florida game, I'm trying to suspect if 2 days of practice is enough for Auburn to fix the mistakes that we saw. I don't think turnovers are a big issue here for Auburn, but getting caught lacking definitely could be. And if you start getting frustrated like you did versus Florida, that's how you start making some more mistakes. You got to practice your shot selection. And make better shots when you can. When you have an open look, take it, but don't just try to do a heat check. Just do a heat check here. I think Auburn's going to win this game. I'm a little hesitant to say they're going to cover that spread. With this game being away, Auburn does tend to play their worst games on the road. I like the Tigers. I'm going to say, I'm kind of looking around here. Let's say 81. Let's say 77. I think it's a pretty close one in Nashville. Auburn really going to have to make sure they keep Vanderbilt at bay here and keep control of the ball. Don't give it back to the Commodores, and don't let their what's the indominus spirit of the Commodore take down number 1 Auburn yet again, because this is a David to Goliath team. They've been giant killers all year long. So don't let them have their moment again. Get ready for the Auburn Basketball. We're talking about that on the Thursday show. And Auburn's number 1. Huge shout out to them for keeping that. The AP poll voters finally doing something right. Making sure Auburn does not drop for what wasn't a blowout. I don't know why people kept it. I saw an article or two where they were saying it was a blowout loss. I don't see how 9 points is a blowout loss, especially that Auburn could have had a blowout loss and definitely came back into the game, made it a lot more interesting at the end. But regardless, that's some stupid reporting right there. Speaking of stupidity, Auburn fans, I'm not going to single out the entire fan base, but I want everybody to know We're going to go a quick little break in a second. But if anyone's not aware, apparently some kids rolled tumors last night for the Eagles Super Bowl win. And I don't really understand why people have this fascination with rolling tumors for non-Auburn related wins. It happened a few years ago with the Braves when the World Series, and they started rolling tumors for the World Series. And look what it did to Auburn football. It cursed them for a few years. You cannot be doing that during Auburn basketball. You cannot do that while they're the number one team in the country. They're fresh off a loss to Florida. If you're going to roll tumors because Auburn Softball got off to a hot start and started off 5-0. Don't roll tumors because of the Eagles. That's worse than the Braves World Series, because at least the Braves are in an adjacent state. Why are you rolling tumors because of the Super Bowl? It's not the Falcons. There was not an Auburn player. Former Auburn player wasn't even on this on the field most of the time. I said the Falcons, like it even matters. Don't roll tumors. If Auburn wasn't playing, if Auburn didn't win, you don't roll tumors. I don't understand the complex. What's wrong with you? That's a simple question. It's just what's wrong with these kids? And I'm saying that like I am over the age of 30 saying what's wrong with these kids. But regardless, I mean, don't roll tumors unless Auburn won a game. Roll it for softball. Roll it for equestrian. Roll it if women's basketball had won the day. Roll it for women's basketball. Don't roll it for the Super Bowl. That's stupid. It's dumb. And I understand they stole our Eagle flight, but they're not stealing tumors. There's not tumors drugs in Philadelphia, to my knowledge. They stole Independence and had her fly around their stadium. I'm mad about that people keep taking that tradition from us. Georgia Southern, I'm looking at you too. Don't let them take tumors. What's wrong with y'all? That's the stupidest thing ever. Rant done. Quick little break. Let's have a break with Auburn women's basketball and some calls that I don't agree with. Baseball right around the corner, and Nelia Peralta doing great things. We'll go over her stats from this past weekend as she got co-SEC Player of the Week. We'll be right back after the short break. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. Sports Football, thewarreport.com. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' t-shirt and college loop hat. Second page of the War Report shop. And of course, that's only like the fourth and fifth best way you can support the channel. The best way to support the channel is by subscribing, by liking, and by commenting. You know what? Super Bowl related question. What was your favorite commercial from this past Super Bowl? Mine definitely was the Baja Blast commercial. Seal as a seal is brilliant. I love it. But I do have a few rants about the Super Bowl that I'm not going to go over here. I definitely tweeted about my rants. The graphic for the scoreboard was horrendous, but regardless, besides the point. Like, comment, and subscribe. Again, leave your what was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? That'll be the question of the day. So Auburn women's basketball. Not too long after I'm recording this, not too long before I started recording this, Auburn took a loss at Oklahoma in their, I would say their opener for the SEC, but they've definitely played 10 games before this. 73-71 is the final score. Auburn fought tooth and nail to get back into this game, had a lead up to 3 at one point. And I mean, Oklahoma, their largest lead was 12. How did Auburn lose this game? Well, you shot terribly from the free throw line. 63%, 14 of 22 from the free throw line, left 8 points off the board, and I mean you lose by 2 there. Just some very bad free throw shooting there from the Tigers. But they got back in it. That's the best thing about this. They forced 20 turnovers from Oklahoma, and they got 26 points off of it, which, because Auburn had 21 turnovers, and Oklahoma scored 20 off of those. Fast break points, Auburn had 12. Which fast breaks are like their bread and butter this season. Points in the paint, pretty even, 38-34. Rebounds, Auburn out-rebounded Oklahoma 35-33. Auburn shot from the three-point line better, which means they shot half the shots that Oklahoma shot. And field goal percentage-wise, Oklahoma just a tad bit better. Deone Gaston had herself a great game again, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Off the bench, Marshawn Bostic in 37 minutes off the bench, which I don't know how that tracks really. 16 points from Marshawn, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. And then other than that, had a couple of 9s from Sarai Daniels and Yu-Ting Dong, who got 9 of her points from the 3-point line. 8 points from Talon Collins. And 2 points from O and 3 from Micaiah Milton. It was it's a free throw and a field goal for her. And it's crazy to me that Auburn missed all these free throws. 14-22 is really bad, especially when you're trying to get some upsets. Because right now, Auburn is not in the tournament. And I would even say if they want to get in, they're going to have probably to win out and have to go on some kind of miracle run in the SEC tournament, which until this team is healthy, I don't see it happening. They're gonna make it hard for anybody to beat them. They are. That's the best. That's the best thing about this team. And I understand some people have some remarks about it and about the season. And so I've seen some people say they want to coach Jay Gone. I don't understand that. Whenever you look at the season, you have some key players that are just not healthy. In 3 games, Talia Scott averaged 20 points a game. Imagine that over 20 games. She's missed 20 games. If you get that, Auburn wins probably. Some of these losses definitely turn to wins. Auburn is not the 12th team in the SEC anymore. Auburn is up there in the top 7 or 8. I don't get it. I don't get the hate that Auburn has been getting from the fans. This team fights. This team is not going to take a massive blowout unless they're playing like South Carolina. Up next, they got Tennessee on Thursday. They got Vanderbilt on Sunday. They got a week off for the take on Alabama in the airplane hangar. Then at Georgia, round of the year versus Mississippi State, which is a game that, like I said, would be their last real blowout loss that they had outside of I'm not counting South Carolina. But 96-56 was that score. But again, if Auburn wants to get in the tournament for women's basketball, definitely going to need to win out, and a run is necessary in the tournament. But I don't know if you're going to get healthy in time to help you out there. It does suck because, I said this before the season. This team is good enough to make it to March Madness. This, without having to do a little play-in game, Auburn had the talent available to be like I'm trying to say like a 6 seed. They got the talent. They just didn't have the health, which, that's just the sport. Healthy teams can't play, and this is what you get. But looking ahead, this team's going to be really good next year. If they can stay healthy, this team is going to be really good. And Coach Jay she has something building. And if you're not excited for the future of Auburn basketball, I don't know what to tell you. Last year, again, they stormed back and made it to the March Madness tournament. The year before that, they were in the NIT. And this is a setback. That's all it is. It's just a setback. But the loss to Oklahoma does suck, especially because, oh my Lord, Auburn lost this game because of 2 free throws that came up from a stupid foul. Marshawn Bostic got called for a foul where she stole the ball. Just all she did was touch. She hit the ball out of the hands of an Oklahoma guard, and they called her for a foul. They showed the replay for like a split second. And even when it's not fully in slow-mo, you can see that she didn't even touch Oklahoma whatsoever. She hit all ball. They called a foul. She went to the line, made the 2, and then set Auburn up to try to basically just try to save themselves from the refs. But regardless, I mean, that's basketball. That's what happens. That's SEC officiating for you. Always comes in handy at the worst possible moments for other teams. Shout out whoever that ref was that made that stupid call. But yeah, not a bad loss. It's just how the season's gone. Tough loss after tough loss after tough loss. And it's going to happen when your team's not healthy. But as we move on, got a couple of sports to be super excited about. Auburn Baseball, got a quick little tidbit about them. They open up their season this weekend versus Holy Cross, and we finally got some times to talk about. So Friday on Valentine's Day, number 22 Auburn, which is where they started off at, will take on, again, I just said Holy Cross again, but they'll be playing at 6 o'clock p.m. CST on Friday, and then Saturday, I'm going to run it right back at 6 o'clock p.m., and then on Sunday, getting it started a little early, 1 o'clock p.m. CST. And as that is going on, the Clearwater Invitational has been going on for Auburn Softball. But yeah, huge shout out to Auburn Baseball and this whole revamped roster that's going to be on the field this weekend. I expect Auburn to win that. I say that the opening of the season should be pretty favorable for Auburn looking ahead. But hopefully that's true this time around. But now we've rounded out the show with Auburn Softball. Auburn started the season hot 5-0, as well as getting a player on co-SEC Player of the Week, Nalaya Peralta, I'm pretty sure. I think I've said her name wrong all throughout her career. So again, I talked about this before. In the 5 games that she played and started, she had 18 ABs, had scored 9 runs, 11 hits, had 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 10 RBI. Had a slugging percentage of 1.22, on base percentage of 0.667, and a batting average of 0.611. And then on the field, now I'm trying to find her name out of all these names, had a fielding percentage of an 8.50. So massive weekend for Peralta. That's what you expect from the veterans. Peralta's been around for quite some time now. But yeah, still showing out for Auburn Softball. I mean, there are plenty of options they could have picked for Auburn. Anna Wohlers had herself a great weekend. Kika McCrary had a great weekend. But yeah, super shout out to all those girls. Clearwater Invitational, we talked about that on the Thursday show. Super stoked for that. They actually have a game on Thursday, I believe. I think it's against Clemson or Virginia, one of the two. I don't have it pulled up now. That I'm talking about. I'm going to pull it up real quick. Now I'm going to sound stupid if I just said something wrong. Let's see. Yeah, Clemson. In just 2 days, as I'm recording this, they'll take on Clemson on Thursday at 3 o'clock p.m. CST. I've already gone over the schedule, but I'll talk about it on the Thursday show. Clearwater Invitational. Auburn looking to hopefully start off with a 11-0 record, which is plausible if they continue to play like they did on last weekend. So, that being said, thanks for watching some of the College Loop podcast. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Dylan Larck on Twitter, also on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLEN LARCK. Find me right here on the College Loop podcast, where you should subscribe, like, and comment, letting me know what your favorite Super Bowl commercial was. And of course, don't forget to check us out audio versions of the show as well on Spotify Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music. And of course, don't forget, check us out on social media platforms, all of them: Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all those at the College Loop. And as always, thanks for watching some of the College Loop podcast. And as always, War Eagle.